The Estonian startup sector has really lifted off since the birth of our first unicorns, Skype and Playtech, and we've seen a significant spillover from this first generation of founders who have created new companies and helped spread the entrepreneurial mindset. So now, since a few years ago, the startup sector has grown around 30% each year. There is enough early stage capital for startups, and there are a few very successful and impactful incubators and accelerators. So we have laid, I think, a very good foundation for the growth of the sector for the next coming years as well. And I think this will really pave the way to a more prosperous and independent and let's say, entrepreneurial-minded future economy. There are still, of course, challenges and deficits in the startup ecosystem. For example, I think, as everywhere in the world, there is a lack of highly skilled talent. Also, in the Estonian case, lack of corporate VC capital, fairly few exits. In comparison to maybe other ecosystems. There is quite a little investment on R&D, both on the private and public sectors. There's also lack of later stage capital. So I think we still have some ways to improve. But in defense of our ecosystem, I can say that we're really close-knit, and due to the small market of only 1.3 million people, the startups that are created globally from the get-go. So I think the mindset is there from the beginning. It's also good that we are really close, not only to each other, but to the policymakers. And I think we have gained the trust of the government. For example, we can see this governmental program, Startup Estonia, which has been created to really be the roof for all these organizations in the ecosystem. And I think we've done a great job. There's still room to improve in terms of global networking and learning from other countries' best practices. Globalization is one of the main factors if we consider the continued growth of any ecosystem. So I think projects like Speed Up is a good example of how ecosystems can come together, talk to each other, learn from each other, and share information. That is a really important step in the growth of any ecosystem. Really important tool that we have developed is the startup database. The database gives us the data to talk about how the sector is doing, the sector insights, to really see what the trends are. This database can be used by the public sector as well as VCs, as well as everybody in the ecosystem who is interested in how the sector is doing. Based on this database information, we also provide statistics quarterly and biannually, giving a better insight into the startup sector. Startup Estonia has just finished the preparation of the next 7 years strategy, or white paper, let's call it. The main goals are to make the startup ecosystem more diverse and to keep the growth around 30% a year. I hope that maybe in the next 5 years we've doubled the size of our startup sector, and that we have more investments in R&D, that we have more cooperation between scientists, academia in general, and economy, that we will not just increase the number of startups, but that we really concentrate on the quality of the startups and the quality of the support organizations, that we develop the high-tech companies, that we do more science commercialization so that we can create higher value companies that really bring in the next unicorns and bring in the next great exits.